I never lie, never lie. Never ever in my life have I ever lied, man. Come on. I said I said 6:05, 5 minutes. I gave everybody 5 minutes to join, bro. I never lie, never lie. What's up, team? Good evening, good evening. Gonna be a quick session today. So I just wanted to give everybody a few more minutes to join, and then we will get started. Again, I only have one monitor, so I'll be going back and forth from the chat to the charts. If you guys have any questions, let me know in the chat. Any specific pairs you guys want me to go over, let me know. Kendall, remind me what? Oh, it was NU. I got you. What else? Any specific pairs again? Let me know. The ones we'll be going over are the ones you see on TradingView with the red flag next to their name. We're gonna be starting off with AUD USD, finishing off with US oil. Good evening, Mr. Albert. What's goody, my brother? It's getting cold out, man. I had the windows open. Now I gotta fly in the room. It's not good. Not good. Alright, once again, let me know if you guys have any questions in the chat. We'll be going over these pairs, the ones that you see with the red flag next to their name. Starting from the top, going to the bottom, we'll be going over the daily time frame, the 4-hour, the 30-minute, see if we need any, if we have any continuations, any highs or lows that we need to update. We'll get through this pretty quick, and then we'll talk about the pairs that we need to talk about for the night. It's 6:11. I don't want to hear it, bro. You're in New York time, so time goes by quicker for you, bro. I'm telling you. It took me 5 minutes to write that message and come to the chat. But because you're in New York, time is multiplied by 2 over there. So my 5 minutes, shit, your 5 minutes went by fast as hell, man. Frank, where my day hurt? You hurt? Where your mom's at? Alright, let's get started, team. Again, any questions, let me know. Starting off with AUD/USD, we know we are in level 3 on a downtrend. We know we're trading lower low, lower high, lower low, lower high. Price decided to give us a small zone, pretty big zone on the daily time frame, right? Pretty big zone of consolidation where price was just moving sideways. Then it gave us the trend down to the bottom. That gave us the break, gave us the lower low, and now we're looking for a lower high to be set. At this point, we've already had 3 different points of interest in the same area as to why we're looking for this lower high to be set in this, somewhere in this zone. At first, we had a gap back in October of 2024 that price finally filled. Once price filled that gap, damn, excuse me. Once price filled that gap up, it left us with a lower time frame gap at the top on the 5-minute. And now we're looking for the same thing that we're looking for on the higher time frames. We'll be looking for them on the lower time frame. So this is where we would want to start looking for any indications telling us that we are starting a downtrend. At this point, price gave us a shoulder head shoulder. For this to be a valid shoulder head shoulder, for the market to give us the indication that the trend has shifted from an uptrend to a downtrend, we're going to want to see price break below the shoulder head shoulder. Now, looking at structure on the 4-hour, let's go again to the daily just so we're not confused on every single time frame, right? So on the daily right now, there's really nothing to talk about besides the fact that we're sitting on a type 3 pattern on a higher time frame. Right now, the daily time frame isn't really giving me a lot. Only thing I see, exhaustion candle at the top side. Now again, an exhaustion candle doesn't tell me that the trend has completely shifted. An exhaustion candle at this point just told me that we've reached an internal higher high and we're going to look for price to give us a higher low, right? Just a little pullback. So the lower time frames, let me go to the chat. Any questions about that? Let me know. Can we go over yesterday's gold trade you didn't take because price didn't break? I just want to understand the concept. I got you. I got you, Albert. Any questions about what we just talked about? Anything you want me to explain again before I continue down to the 4 hour? Again, I'm not going to do this with every single pair. I'm going to let you guys, any questions you guys have, ask them now. Every single pair is traded the exact same way. So the information I'm going to tell you on AUD USD, I'm going to tell you the same thing on AUD CAD. I'm going to tell you the same thing on GU, GJ, EU, Gold, US30. I don't trade any differently. The only difference, some pairs are uptrending and some pairs are downtrending. The only other thing that could happen is a pair moving sideways, which is a zone of consolidation. That's the only different information. But our daily highs, daily lows, 4-hour highs, 4-hour lows, 30-minute highs and lows, structure, it's all the same thing. Alright, so Albert has no questions. Perfect. Nobody else in the chat. Kendall, you good? Again, let me know. So now on the 4-hour time frame, we're just dissecting this piece by piece. Right, on the 4-hour time frame, we're still on an uptrend, right? So we're still trading higher high, higher low, and higher high, right? Because we got the break of structure, the break happened here, right? All of this is part of the same trend. So the only downside right now, right? Because this could change. How could this change? Well, on the 4-hour time frame for the next couple weeks, let's say for the next 2-3 weeks, price decides to give us a push to the top side and gives us another break, right? That would mean what? That would mean that now, instead of trading between this huge higher low point and this higher high point, we'll now be trading between, let's say in this example, these are our lows, right? This would be the higher low point, this would be the higher high point. Now, there's two things that could happen here. Price could give us another external, break of structure that gives us this low and this high, and then this is where we'll start looking for price, to turn around and start giving us the change of character, the break of structure, then the continuation back down to the bottom, right? So there's a whole bunch of things that could happen here, right? Price could also be like, oh, but what if price gives us a break of the shoulder head shoulder, right? Yeah, if price comes down and gives us a break below, we understand again that we're still trading in an uptrend, right? We're still trading higher high, higher low, and then whatever higher high, let's say this is the higher high point for this example, right? Price could give us that break and give us a first initial push down to the bottom, but once it gives you a pullback, a higher low point on the 4-hour time frame, price could turn around and go back to the top side. Now, is this something that could happen, and when? Right? Yes, this is something that could happen, and this is something that could happen before price fills this gap at the top side. If price decides to come back down, this would most likely happen if price decides to reject these highs instead of breaking these highs and filling the gap. So again, I'm just getting my chessboard ready for battle. Right now, what is price doing on the 4-hour? We're moving sideways. We're in a zone of consolidation, right? A shoulder head shoulder is just another example or another variation of a zone of consolidation. And what's the difference? Just what it looks like. But we're looking for the same thing, right? Because in a zone of consolidation, you're either looking for a break retest to continue, or you're looking for the inducements to go back to the top. And at the top of the zone of consolidation, what are you looking for? Either a break retest to then continue, or you're looking for an inducement of the high to go back down to the bottom. Same thing on a shoulder head shoulder. Alright, so let me know if that made sense in the chat. Just the stuff we went over. Got you. NZD USD. We'll go over that as well. Right, so now that we got, and again, I'll add this on too for the new people who are watching us. I don't trade against the overall trend. Meaning, again, daily time frame, where are we? We're in level 3 on a downtrend. That means I'm only looking for short positions. I do this with every single pair. I do not trade against the trend. So again, I'm getting my chessboard ready to start being in the battle once we start giving confirmations that we're on a downtrend. These pushes to the top side, the pullbacks, I'm not looking for that. I'm not looking for it. I'm only looking to trade with the trend. Because I learned very early on in my trading career, the trend is your friend. If you are trading with against the trend, good luck. And again, I don't need to speak too much. Go look at your favorite trader. Go look at the pairs that they're trading. Go look at the losses. And go look at whether or not they're trading with the trend or against the trend. Specifically, go look at the traders who trade just one pair. Case closed. So now that we understand where we're at on the 4-hour, now we know what to look for or what to expect on the 30-minute, where we're starting to look for our entries. Right? The 4-hour time frame just told us what? We're in a zone of consolidation. We're on the shoulder. Right? A shoulder head shoulder. The shoulders are just, if you're looking at a shoulder head shoulder on the daily time frame or the 4-hour, the shoulders of that structure on the lower time frame, the 30, the 15, the 5-minute, is just a zone of consolidation. And we look at what structure is doing right now. It is just consolidating. So I already know AUD-USD is not a pair I'm going to be looking for an entry. It's that simple. I'm not going to let myself get faked out. And how do traders get faked out? Very simple. They believe that this is a double top. And they're like, look, we got to break a retest. We're going to continue this trend back to where? Right? They're looking for price to clear these lows. Right? You have some traders that got lucky. Right? They saw, oh, look, double top, push 1, push 2. We're going to continue. And how many other traders you think scaled in here on the lower time frame with a double top? They scaled in here with a double top. Right? If you didn't catch these trades up here, and you decided to not cash out down here, and you also thought that this was a lower time frame shoulder head shoulders, like just look at how many confirmations the market is giving you. Right? This is why I don't get trapped into this. How many traders you think took trades here, and instead of cashing out here, they let price reverse on them? And then some of them got lucky because they have trailing stop loss. Some of them got lucky because they're not greedy, and as soon as they saw that price started going back to the top, they cashed out early. Right? How many traders you think lost here instantly, thinking that this was going to be a break retest to continue? How many of those traders that were in profit, how many of them do you think scaled in here? So there's a whole bunch of different ways to view the market, and nobody's right, nobody's wrong. I'll say this. Right? Nobody's wrong. The problem is that some traders are missing a little piece of information. And this goes to, I think, what we had this conversation either yesterday or this morning, I don't remember. Trying to remember. I think it was this morning. Whatever. Point is, I can't remember when it was. But most of these traders, right, they're just missing a little piece of information. There's a small piece of information. Right? I'm avoiding the news. Right? At the end of the day, when I'm looking for trades, I'm looking at STP. If I take this trade, I want to make sure that I'm taking this trade with the trend and that STP will get hit. At the end of the day, I'm a day trader. Right? I'm looking for the move of the day every single time. Right? So let's go back, delete some of this. Dude, it is freezing in here, man. So nothing on AU again, guys. Any questions, let me know. I'll give you, it was yesterday? Yeah. Any questions, I'll give you guys 30 seconds. If not, we'll keep going. We'll stop at NU, and we'll stop at gold for the next pairs to give a clean breakdown like that. But that was good. A lot of good gems on that one. No questions? Alright. So AUD-CAD, we know we are at the top of the zone of consolidation on a downtrend, right? We're in the first zone of consolidation on a downtrend, which is A1, right? Price being at the top of the zone of consolidation, it's a safety trade. We know that this is an area where we could start looking for price to turn around and start going down. We could start looking for our short positions. However, this doesn't mean, oh, price is on our point of interest, let's start getting into those short positions now. No. Right now that I know where I'm at overall, which is on the daily time frame, now I'm going to go down to the lower time frames and continue to look for structure. Daily time frame, we're still uptrending. 4-hour time frame, we're still uptrending in a huge zone. We were in a zone of consolidation, price gave us a break, it's consolidating now. All the traders on a higher time frame who think that they're trading a flag post pattern and they got into these trades because look, price is consolidating between 23.6 and 38.2 for price to continue the push to the top side. How many traders do you think are in those positions? There's so many. There's thousands and thousands and thousands of traders right now. I'll put it in my bank account. I'll bet my whole bank account. Right now, there's thousands of traders, swing traders, who are in these positions on AUD-CAD, thinking that price is going to continue their push to the top side. Now, could they be right? Absolutely. Absolutely. Right? 30-minute time frame, what is price doing? Higher high, higher low, higher high, and price is just consolidating. What do we have? What little piece of information do we have right now that tells me that this is not the best area to continue to look for those pushes to the top side? You have two different confirmations. The number one confirmation, you're in a zone of consolidation where price is rejecting highs and lows the entire time. The second thing I'm looking at, in these highs, you have a gap on the 15-minute time frame that price has to fill, and you also have a 15-minute engulfing candle. Meaning, could price continue to give us inducements of these highs and then turn back around and go back down? Of course. Now, if price decides to break these highs and gives us a clean break of the zone of consolidation, then okay, we could turn it around and say, all right, cool, we have a little bit of confirmation. But again, you don't really have that confirmation that price is going to continue that uptrend until price gives you a valid break of the 30-minute high. What does that mean? Price could give you this break, it could give you the retest, and it could give you another push. And this is going to be the area where price is going to have to make a decision again, the same way that it did here. The same decision that the market makers are currently trying to make here is the same thing that's going to happen up here. So, AUD-CAD, I already know, again, this is another pair. I'm just going to be patient. I'm in a zone of consolidation. There's no valid breaks. We don't know what the markets are going to do right now. We could all have speculations. Like, of course I have speculations. It looks like it's going to continue to go up. Right? Anybody could say that. But I'm giving you the reasons why and why not. That's the biggest difference. We're in a zone of consolidation. We know that a zone of consolidation is an area in the market where the market makers are trapping traders. They're inducing traders to get into a trade to hit their stop losses. Once you already understand where you're at, your decision making in trading gets so much easier. Because you're no longer having to, oh, but this and that, and what if this? No, you don't have none of that. Because you already know all that noise, all that extra noise that you have, it gets cleared up with knowing where you're at in the market. What cycle you're in. Are you trending? Are you counter trending? Or are you in a zone of consolidation? You have those three options. You have those three options, and the question, or the one thing that's in your head, the trend is your friend. Meaning you should only be trading with the trend. So out of those three options, taking a trade on the trend, taking a trade on a counter trade, a counter trend, or taking a trade on a zone of consolidation. Knowing that the trend is your friend, are you choosing option 1, 2, or 3? It's that simple for me. So I'm not on a trend, not taking a trade. That's it. I'm getting my board ready for when price reaches my points of interest. But I already know for the next trading session, I'm not looking at this pair. I'm not interested. I already know tomorrow I'm not looking at this pair. Perfect. Go to the next pair. Let me know if you guys have any questions. Dude, it is cold in this bitch. Do you guys experience mosquito bites in the winter? Here in Florida is like yes and no. Yes, because they're still out, and there's definitely gonna be mosquitoes when it's cold here, but they usually, mosquitoes don't thrive in the cold like that. So it depends how cold it gets. If it gets cold like in the 30s and the 40s, it'll be like that for a day or two, and it'll clear out for a little bit, but not really. US 30 prime example, the market maker trapping and inducing traders this morning. Yeah, we'll go over that. Dude, I'm struggling, bro. It's cold. I'm shivering in my boots right now. I'm not gonna lie to you guys. Probably hear it in my voice. Alright. I thought I was gonna get warm by doing this, but I'm not. I'm just getting colder and colder. Alright, so Euro AUD, we are in level 3 on an uptrend. Price gave us a higher high. Instead of giving us a simple higher low to continue into a higher high, it gave us a zone of consolidation. Price came to the low and it broke it. Right? It gave us that break today. Right? This candle that printed for today's Thursday already. Jesus. For Thursday, and we're back now at the lows of the entire zone. So we still got a little bit to go. When it comes to EA, again, EA is a pair that I'm expecting price to give us a steeper pullback. Very similar to why I was expecting the pullback on AUD USD. Right? We have this gap at the bottom of the market. Now, is this something out of the ordinary? No. It's a zone of consolidation, a break. Right? We're trading between this higher low and this higher high. Right? Again, for my people who use fibs, if you use them correctly on the daily time frame, right? What are we expecting? Expecting a pullback, right? For my peoples who know type 1, type 2, type 3 patterns, what does this look like? So we already know what it is. We just gotta be patient. Again, I don't trade counter trend. So I already know for EA, this is another pair that we're just gonna have to be patient on. Wait for price to give us the pullback. Perfect. Once we get the pullback, once we're back at a higher low, I'll start looking to take this trade again. The number one question I get asked every single time by new people who join the sessions, right? Yo, I can't believe you look at 16 pairs. Well, why? It must take you a long time to go through 16 pairs, or oh, it must be difficult to keep tabs on 16 pairs. Like, no. Because this is how I do it. I don't trade all 16 pairs. Right? I'm not on my charts, and when I'm on my charts all day, I'm looking for entries, and no. Trading is very simple for me. I trade my live sessions from the time I wake up in the morning. It could be 5, 5:30, 6 a.m., 7 a.m. By the time I wake up in the morning until 10:30, 11 a.m., that's my time to trade. Those are my trading hours. When I'm on the charts at this time, 5 p.m., 6 p.m., 7 p.m. until I go to sleep, I'm updating my charts. Or I'm just looking at the charts. To do 16 pairs by myself without the live stream, I could do 16 pairs in less than 20 minutes. And I'll update it, I'll have everything I need, and I'll be ready for the morning. Right? Because I already know, okay, out of these 16 pairs, the first 3, right? The first 3 we know we're not trading. So I already know in the morning, okay, cool. These 3 pairs I'm not trading. We could go down the entire 16 pairs, and we might find only 1 pair, or we might find nothing. And then tomorrow morning, I'll get back on my charts. The first thing I do, top to bottom analysis, the same thing I did tonight. What changed? Right? All the drawings that we made, the breakup structures we're looking for, what happened? Which ones are following the rules that we want to follow? Once you clarify, okay, out of these 5 pairs that we had for the morning, only 2 of them are following our rules. Cool. Then we know the time that we need to start trading is going to be these 2 pairs. So again, it is very simple. Get a small portable heater. Yeah, I do gotta get one, especially for when I'm back home over there, since it's colder. Is the car good now? Nah, bro. Shit is still chalked. Right, then type 1 pattern, right? Could give us a little bit of a steeper pullback, right? Especially in this area. If it only gives us a pullback to the retest of the top side, right? It could just be a type 1 pattern. But based on this gap over here, I'm thinking that we'll get like a little type 3 pattern. So price will most likely retest into these areas here, into these lows. Right? And when we look at the structure, like the reason why is because again, over here, like, yeah, we'll have the 800 EMA close by. But at this point, the 800 EMA moves very slow compared to the 50 and the 200. Meaning that by the time, if price decides to come back down here, this will just look like price, right? Let's draw a price, would most likely do something like this, right? Making us believe that because we're trending below the 800 EMA, that, oh, price has to continue to go back down, right? So then it'll start trapping these traders thinking that price is going to continue to go back down, give us a type 3 pattern. And the reason they'll use the type 3 pattern is because of this internal flag post pattern that happened here, right? We understand that on the higher time frame, once price breaks these lows here, all of this is clean traffic to the bottom, right? Which again, in other words, this is an imbalance in the market. If you go down to a lower time frame, it'll just be straight green candles, the same way that it was up here, right? This is going to be an imbalance, and price could give us an imbalance. Once it fills the imbalance, that's when it could start going back to the top side. And this, somewhere in this area, is where we'll look for price to do this. And I'll mark it up. We'll start looking for these entries somewhere here. So that's what I'm thinking that price is going to do. But again, I could be wrong, but you know, I'm not going to delete this because I like, you know, I like being Picasso on the charts. Rest up Forte, bro. Nah. This girl been telling me the same thing. Like, nah, you gotta chill out. That car's my baby, man. And so yeah, that's pretty much it. And then again, we already know we're in a zone of consolidation. Lower time frame, we're still trading lower lows and lower highs. Right? So everybody who thought that, oh look, engulfing candle, you know, same conversation we had yesterday. Right? You can't be using, you know, how could you mark up an engulfing candle that's bullish when market structure is still bearish? Still making lower lows and lower highs, right? We knew that any of these high points could have been the lower high to continue to go down, but price rejected highs, went low, rejected highs, went low, rejected highs, went low, rejected highs, went low, rejected highs, right? Gave us another inducement, and in this final inducement is when the market makers decided, okay, cool, this is where we're gonna start going back down. It gave you another inducement of the low, faked you out again, right? All the traders who took this engulfing candle here as well, straight to stop loss. Oh, but price went to the bottom and it gave us an inducement. This should have worked out, right? The same way that this engulfing candle here should have worked out. So again, same conversation we had yesterday, guys. You guys see that we're having it again today. It's every day is the same thing in the market. It's just, again, whether or not you're able to see it in real time. Understanding that, again, the market is always going to print whatever entry it is that you're going to take. Whatever your entry model is. Double bottoms, double tops, flag post patterns, engulfing candles, order blocks, fair value gaps. Those entry models, turtle soup, whatever it is, right? All those entry models get shown every single day on the charts multiple times. The biggest difference is whether or not you are able to see and you're able to spot out high probability entries versus the low probability entries and the reasons as to why. Because again, anybody, you could take any course and any course is going to teach you any entry. Any course is going to teach you the double tops and the double bottoms, and they're going to show you what it looks like and they're going to draw it out. Everything is going to look perfect. But they're never going to talk to you about the high probability double bottoms or the low probability double bottoms, and vice versa with the double tops. They're not going to show you that. They're just going to show you this is how you look for them, this is what they look like, good luck. You're at a casino, it's 50-50. You're either going to win, you're going to lose. Just, you know, to make sure you don't overtrade, don't trade every single day. Put a cap. If you lose 2 in a row, fuck it, come back tomorrow. What does that sound like? People who play poker. People who play fucking blackjack. You go on a crazy win spree, you keep going, you double up, you triple up, you quadruple up. And then you go on a losing streak, and then what happens? Oh shit. You lost 2 in a row. Now you put a cap in your trades. Oh, you can only trade 2 times in a day. You can only do this 2 times in a day. Of course. Because when you're gambling, less is more. The less you trade, the less you're gonna lose. And if you get lucky, you might win 5 in a row, and you might have a unlucky week and lose 5 in a row. But fuck it, let's re-up and do it again. You're gambling. So again, I don't know. I'm different. You know, it's not like I fucking took 56 trades last year and lost 1. It's all good though. The fuck do I know? So EA consolidating. We're gonna start speeding it up again. The only pairs we're really gonna talk about at this point, since there's really no more questions in the chat and no other pairs that you guys want to talk about for now, is gonna be NU and gold. Right? I hope that was only 2 pairs. If not, let me know. But these other ones, we're gonna start speeding it up. Holy shit. So daily time frame. ECAD, we know we're in peak high territory, so I'm not going to be updating this, or trading this, I should say. Nothing to update on the 4-hour. We're still stuck pretty much in a zone of consolidation as well. Same 30-minute highs and 30-minute lows. Moving counter trend, go on to the next one. EU is moving counter trend as well. We know that this is a pair in level 2 on an uptrend. But again, where were we? We're at the higher high. Price gave us a zone of consolidation. Perfect. No problem. Zone of consolidation, cool. We know we're trading higher high, higher low, higher high. Price has to give us a higher low. What do we know about EURUSD right now in the daily time frame? We have a 30-minute gap at the bottom. Am I expecting price to fill this gap up now for the uptrend? To be honest, not really. I could see this, you know, if it breaks below our 200 EMA on the daily time frame, the last stop I'll be looking for my point of interest is going to be the 4-hour low, for price to just reject these lows and go back up to the top side. Now, our confirmation that price is going to fill this gap up is if price breaks below the 4-hour lows. But we still have a long time to go for that. On the 4-hour, we have 2 weeks of drop. This week will be the 3rd week, so we already know next week we could at least we could maybe look for an entry going into next week on EURUSD. At least a little pullback back to the top side. And 30-minute time frame, we're still making lower lows and lower highs. Right, we're trading lower low, lower high, and these lower lows over here. So right now for EURUSD, we are still downtrending. Again, this is another pair that right now we just gotta wait for price to turn around. On to the next one. My bad. You said my bottom zone and up. Just a second. Regular push to the upside on the daily time frame. Gambling, crazy. That was the approach I had when I first started trading. Didn't even realize. Yeah, cause again, you know, everybody has that mindset when it comes to it. So, like the conversation we had this morning, right? You started trading, and the mindset that they wanted to give you was that when you saw the color green, They told you it was red, right? Same conversation we had this morning about programming and why it's difficult for a lot of people to get out of that shit. It's scary, man. It's fucking scary, dogs. Welcome to life. You know, it's very difficult when you first start trading and people tell you it's one way. And then you realize that shit's really not like that. You try to reprogram that. They're gonna teach you, oh, this shit is gambling without telling you it's gambling. They're gonna just put it up in nice colors and tell you that it's called over trading and your psychology. What do you sound like? You know, this is a very sensitive topic, but we'll take a second to talk about it because it is serious. Like, why do you think these guys always talk about mental health and psychology, the psychology of trading and over trading, and this is why that's a gambler's that's an addiction of a gambler. You can't get away from the slot machines. You're gambling too much money. Go look for help. Go look for a therapist. You need help, right? Does that sound like the internet to you? Does that sound like what you see about trading online? It's just worded differently. Because for traders, you can't tell them you need therapy. For traders, you can't tell them that, oh, it's because you have bad mental health and you keep over trading because you're gambling. You can't tell them that because then they're gonna think the egos get to them. They don't have a problem, and we see it. So online for trading, it's printed in beautiful butterflies. Like, okay. So, you know, it's very simple, man. The way you approach life, the way you approach the charts is the same way you're gonna approach life. And vice versa. The same way you approach your lifestyle is the same way you're gonna be on the charts. And it's gonna be a reflection. It's a fucking mirror. So I always knew there was more to this shit. Is the same as everything else. That's why I found you. Yes sir, yes sir ski. Yes sir ski. Alright man, so let's keep going. So GA counter trend, not trading in peak high territory. We already know the deal. GCAD, we are in level 3 on an uptrend as well. This is a pair that gave us very similar movements to the other pairs, gave us higher high, higher low, and pretty much just gave us a zone of consolidation. Now, what I do like about GCAD is that even though we're in a zone of consolidation, we could still see price giving us new higher highs the entire time, right? The entire time. And what I'm looking at, my bad, I know I circled the wicks, but I was looking at the bodies of the candles, right? This gave us a new higher high, this gave us a new higher high, this gave us a new higher high, right? So that gives us higher low, boom, higher high, boom, what? Higher low, perfect, right? Now that we know we're in a trend, now we go down to the lower time frame. What else do we see? Wow, another zone of consolidation in an area where now we have to understand, are we going to be in a continuation, right? Meaning, is price going to give us a valid break? And let's mark this up. We're looking for a break above these highs, right? The top of the zone of consolidation. Did price give us a valid break? Yes, it gave us a valid break of structure. Cool. So now on the lower time frames, what do we know? We know that we're trading higher high, higher low, higher high. What do we see right now on GCAD that could be forming? Shoulder, head, shoulder. Now we're getting somewhere. Oh shit, now we're getting somewhere. If we know we were in a higher high, what happens after a higher high? A higher low needs to be set. On the lower time frames, what did price give us? Zone of consolidation and a break of the high. The break of the high, we're going to be looking for a retest. Most likely, our first point of interest as to where we could be expecting the higher low to be made is going to be the retest of the zone of consolidation. This is a simple break and a retest, right? A simple break, retest, to then continue. Oh shit. And if price breaks these highs, we have clean traffic all the way back to the top side. And again, I'm gonna keep this here drawn out so you guys could look at this a week and a half from now and be like, yo, this guy Jumper is the fucking market maker. How he know this was gonna happen? How is he accurate with this? Now again, could there be other things that could happen? Absolutely. But am I gonna sit here and be like, well, if this happens, then this could happen? No. We're gonna just go with the first instinct, or what's the highest probability move that could happen with GCAT. That's all I'm gonna mark. I'm not gonna mark nothing else. We're gonna be as crystal clear as possible. Bro, we need to continue something you stopped doing some time back. I have to ask you in your DM since it might be personal. Alright, Albert, no problem. GJ on the daily time frame. This is another pair that I'm treating it very carefully. Right? I'm being very careful with GJ. This is a pair that's in peak high territory as well. We're in the highest point in the market. Outside of that, again, we know we're still uptrending. We're still making higher highs and higher lows. So I want to be very careful with GJ. This is a pair, right? This is specifically a forex pair, one of the only forex pairs that I fucking have so much respect for. If something is not crystal clear, I'm not trading it. GJ is one of those pairs that I respect. Again, if I don't see something crystal clear, I'm just staying away from it. I keep GJ very simple. If there's something I like and I see it, I'm trading it. But I don't even remember the last GJ trade I took. Had to be like October, November. I don't think I took a trade. A GJ trade in December. Yeah, I did it. Let me see. Just so you guys can see, like I treat GJ the same way I treat US 30. You know, the trades are beautiful because they pay out, right? 60 pips, 80 pips. You know, with a 10 pip or less stop loss every single time. GJ pays out. This was October. But GJ also very expensive. It could be a very expensive pair depending on your lot size. But it's a beautiful pair to be able to get, you know, a 5 pip stop with a 60, 70, 80, 90 pip TP. So, one wrong move, it hurts. Right? The same way that one wrong move on US 30 hurts. So every time I trade US, or every time I trade GJ, again, I do it the same way if I were trading gold or US 30. Right? This was a one-to-one bullshit trade, but it wasn't bad. Shoulder head shoulder break. Right? It was just a continuation back down to the bottom. Top of the zone of consolidation as well, right after the 30-minute fake out inducement. And this is where they decided to just give us a zone of consolidation instead of a trend. Right, and it consolidated until it finally broke and gave us the continuation that we were looking for. Right, we were looking for that move to happen here. But again, that's how the market is sometimes. The market is going to either give you the move or is going to give you the same thing, a zone of consolidation. Right, we don't have to spend so much time going back to that. We're good though. No other questions in the chat. Let's keep going. I need more water. Right, so GJ will be careful. GU, gonna start speeding it up here. We're almost done. GU very similar to EU. We're in level 2 on an uptrend. We're at a higher high. Instead of giving us a simple higher high, higher low, higher high, it's been just kind of faking us out for a long time. Pretty much same thing, waiting for a valid pullback, right? Waiting for a valid higher low to be made to then continue up into the daily time frame higher highs. 4-hour time frame, technically speaking, we are still on a downtrend. Lower low, lower high, lower low. You know, again, price gave us a push to the top side. That could have been a lower high point. Now we're looking for price to give us a lower low. Right? Price still hasn't given us a valid break of the zone consolidation. The next couple 4-hour candles will tell us what we want to see. And then on the 30-minute time frame, price also gave us another lower low point, right? Gave us a change of character, lower low, lower high, and then it gave us a lower low break of structure, but it did not give us a valid break of the lows, right? Gave us just an inducement, never closed below the wick. So again, that's already given us a little bit of an insight, just a little bit of an insight telling us, hey, price is not ready to continue to go down yet. So I'm gonna keep GU like this on the lows. The highs will change them to this, and then we'll come back to this once we have a little bit more information. Now NZD USD, wrong thing. Might need a little refresher. Let's start from the top. I just gotta look at our text, but I don't want to. I don't want to cheat. Let's start from the top. Right, NU, we know we are in level 3 on a downtrend. Right, we're looking for that final push back down to the previous peak low. Right now, we're still stuck in a zone of consolidation, and that's okay. Price has been in these lows for a very long time. A2, we're looking for price to bounce off the 50 EMA, which right now we are currently bouncing off the 50 EMA. And that's all we really have on the daily time frame. Right? Last month we had a month of no net where price is just moving sideways. So we already know, okay, on the lower time frames, this is pretty much just a really big zone of consolidation. Right? And right now we can see price gave us higher high, higher low, higher high, came back to the lows, came back to the highs, came back to the lows, and gave us the inducement. Right? It never gave us a valid break. We talked about this in the beginning of the week. I'm not really counting this as a valid break because it's a doji candle, and then right after was the opening candle for the week. Right? But regardless, price came up, gave us a retest, and came back down to the lows. Right? Back at the lows where, again, we're pretty much in the inducement area. That was a horrible line. Right, guys? Box. Try this again. Oh my. I'm very bad at drawing. All good. Right, we're back at the lows where the inducement happened. Now we go to the 30-minute. 30-minute is very important. Right, on the 30-minute, yeah, we know we're still on the trend. Lower low, lower high, lower low, lower high. Price came back to the lows. At these lows, what did price start doing? Started moving sideways. Rejecting the lows, rejecting the highs, rejecting the lows, right? Rejecting the highs again, going back to the lows again, going back to the highs again, going back to the lows again. So on the 30-minute, we already know, okay, cool. Price still hasn't given us any structure, anything on market structure that tells us that price is going to continue to go back down to the bottom, right? On the 30-minute time frame as well, at the top of the zone of consolidation, it gave you an engulfing candle. This is going to be the same example that I'm going to give you on gold. This is the same reason why, me personally, the reason why I wouldn't have taken this trade is because price never gave us a break of the zone of consolidation. If price would have came to these lows, and if price would have given us a valid break of structure of these lows, and then it would have went up and gave us a retest, then I would have said, yes, this is the trade I'm looking to take, for price to give me this retest and continue that push all the way back down to the bottom, right? But because it didn't give me that break, all I'm looking for is, again, could price come up here, give us a clean entry, and go back down to the bottom of the zone of consolidation? Absolutely. 100% that could happen. But could price also give you the retest and just continue back up to the top side? The same way that we saw happen with EURUSD back to back to back times? 100%. So my ideology of trading becomes again, is this entry high probability or low probability? If it's low probability, I'm not taking it. Oh, but what if the trade goes into TP? Cool. In your books, you might look at it as a missed opportunity. In my books, it's not a missed opportunity. Why? Because if I take a trade, what's the question I ask myself in my trading journal every single time I write that down in my notebook? Did you follow your rules? If I took a trade and I won the trade and I draw it down and I ask myself, did I follow my rules? If I follow my rules, then it's a winning trade. But if I took a trade and I didn't follow my rules, I don't see that as a winning trade. I have to go back to the drawing board and go understand why I took that trade. Understand where I could have went wrong. That's when you're going to get the understanding that, okay, yes, even though there's an engulfing candle, even though we're in a downtrend, what is the one thing we were missing about this trade? Now again, does that mean it's a bad trade? No. There's just ways you gotta go about it. Understand that if you take this trade, and let's say STP wasn't hit, this is a small pair, so most likely it did, right? 26 pips, it did 27. Understand that if price just wanted to go down to these lows and do, just to give an example, and just do 16 pips, and then turn around and do what it did here, it could have done that, right? Understanding that taking this trade, there's other things now you have to take into consideration. The lows, where could price give you the pullback to before it, turns around? Could price go all the way to the bottom like it did here and give you this big ass inducement? Absolutely. Is that gonna happen every single time? No. Price might have just given you a retest above this area here. It might have swept these lows here with the imbalance on the lower time frame and then turned around. But price decided to sweep the entire low. Fake all these traders out again. Get them all in. Make you believe that price is going to continue to go short to then go back up again. But again, now going into the lower time frame, which is where the entry could have been taken. Right? Let's say you missed this trade and you're just continuing to look for trades just to take it from the top of the zone of consolidation back down to the bottom. You had higher high, higher low, higher high. Price then gave you lower low, change of character, lower high. Then price gave you the lower low break of structure. Just with this alone, right, and everything else that we just talked about on the 30-minute time frame, the inducement of the high, the engulfing candle. On the 1-minute time frame, you also had confirmations when the 50 crossed below the 200. That's number one. Number two, price breaking below the 800 EMA. And number three, price giving you the change of character and a valid break of structure right after. Right? We already know when price gives you a break and it's just straight red candles down to the bottom, just flying red candles, big red candles going down to the bottom, we could expect a flag post pattern to be given, which for my traders who use fibs, it's a retracement between 23.6 and 38.2. Now, if you don't want to use the fibs, if you don't want to use the flag post patterns and you want to go with how the EMAs look, A2, we want to see price bounce off the 50 EMA, right on or around the 50 EMA. We had that confirmation. The fact that price broke and started trending below the 800 EMA, the 800 EMA is a very powerful tool. It's a very powerful EMA. Price respects it. The chances of price, when you're trading with the trend, the chances of price going back above the 800 EMA is slight to none. Does it happen? Yes. Does it happen 100% of the time? No. It's very rare to see that happening with the 800. So that would have been my second confirmation and my strongest confirmation to let me know that I'm not going to get a 50% retracement. because price isn't gonna go above, right? It's not gonna go that far up above the 50 EMA. Price is definitely not gonna do that with the 800 EMA. Now, the whole thing with this trade, with how I would have taken it, 100% I would have seen the 38.2, and that's where I would have taken the trade. That's where I would have had my entry. Now my stop loss, right? Again, NZD is a very small pair. So if you wanted to be very safe and just put your stop loss above the previous highs, right? The previous lower high point at 6 pips, you could do that. But understanding that your TP, again, at 27 pips, which is STP, let's say it was somewhere here in this area, right? So 1 to 2 trade. You know, could you combat it and be like, okay, well, it's a 38.2. Technically, you know, price shouldn't go above the 50 EMA. You could put your stop loss above or in the middle between the 50 EMA and the 61.8. Or you could even put it on the internal highs at 3 pips. Right? And better your chances at this trade. The 800 EMA part does make a lot of sense, yeah. I feel like that's really the only thing that probably just threw you off. Like, I feel like if you would have paid more attention to the 800, you would have been at least a little bit more confident in where that stop loss should have been and how you would have approached that trade. But I understand why you thought, oh, it's going to be a 50, you know, because you had like an internal shoulder head shoulder. You had this break here, right? This inducement before the break. So I would understand why you would think that 50. But again, just those two things with the EMAs, that kind of trumps everything else. I have to go get another bottle of water, bro. I'll be right back. Hold on. It doesn't make sense for price to break the 800 and come back retest a 50% back above the 800. That'll invalidate direction. It is not that it'll invalidate direction. Um, I don't want to say that it'll invalidate the direction. It's just more, you know, could have price giving you a steeper pullback for sure, right? 1,000%. But in this case scenario, with how the market was moving, it's very unlikely. I think that's what you might have to tweak in the way you vision that. Like, the way the market is moving, the way that it's printing, right? This pattern here, this pattern recognition of how these candles here were printing, right, is a completely different situation. If I just want to use an example of how candlesticks are looking, right? Compared to how if price would have looked like something like this, right? So the pattern recognition of how the candlesticks look in the movements is what I'm looking at every single time I'm looking for those entries and where I'm looking for the pullbacks. The fact that this was just a clean trend, the same way that these were just clean trends, right, is the same reason why here, right, if we were trading this, right, is the same reason why I'm not looking for price to give me a break retest the way that people think that every trend is, right? There's a reason why we were looking for this pullback to be a 38.2 instead of a 50% retracement. Oh, what are you talking about? All right, let's add our fibs since you guys want to be so smart, right? I don't need the fibs to know, right? There's a reason why we were looking for a 38.2 retracement here, flag post pattern, right? It's not because we're guessing. No, it's because look at how the candlesticks are printing. They're super smooth. Like, it's straight green candles to the top side. No trend. It's just straight green candles to the top side. We already know this behavior, this pattern recognition of how these candlesticks print, this is already telling me that this is going to be a 23.6, 38.2 retracement. I'm not looking for a 50%. I'm not looking for a 61.8. I'm not looking for my golden ratio zone. I'm not looking for that. I'm looking for this looks pattern recognition wise, this looks like a flag post pattern, and this is the rules for the flag post pattern. And this is what has to happen here. Exhaustion candles, higher highs and higher lows. What else do we want to see? I hope that makes sense. Again, to me, it makes perfect sense. Said exactly perfect. Alright, so NZD USD, I already know. Again, this is another pair for me taking a step back. I'll be on the back seat. It's all good. Right? I'm trying to catch the piece of the pie. Just a piece of the pie. Right now it don't got enough, it doesn't have enough slices for us. We're waiting for the next pie to come out. US 30. Love US 30, man. You know, I am gonna say this was a missed opportunity for me today. I got a little scared. But again, I go back to my trading journal and the question I ask myself, was it following my rules? Technically speaking, yes. Yes, it was. So unfortunately, US 30 is going to be a pair for today that I wish I would have taken. I wish I wouldn't have been scared. I should write a poem. Right, but US 30, we're in peak high territory. We're at the highest point in the market. Price just gave us a higher high on the daily time frame. On the 4-hour time frame, same thing. Price gave us a higher high point, right? Higher high, higher low, boom, higher high. And price decided to do what? Give us a zone of consolidation. Once again, very similar to the other pairs. There's not a lot that could happen here. You're either looking for the breaks and the continuations, or you're looking for the rejections and then for price to go the opposite way, right? The same reason why we took this trade up here at the top of the zone of consolidation to go back down to the bottom is honestly the same reason why I should have taken this trade here. And not only that, we had confirmations on the lower time frame. This is a type 3 pattern. Peak high territory, we're bouncing off the 50 EMA. Lower time frame, we go to the 1 minute time frame, right, which is where I was looking for the entry. When price gave us the retest of the type 3 pattern, we got a change of character on the 1 minute time frame. We got the break of structure right after. We have an engulfing candle on the retest. We had an engulfing candle retest. And this all happened 10 minutes before the NYC market opened. We also had the crossing of the 50 above the 200. Price respected the 800 and started trending above the 800. So again, were my rules followed on US 30 today? Yes. And why I didn't take a trade? I was scared. I was being a little bitch. So this is the trade. This is the entry. This is my stop loss. Perfect. Now, how do you calculate your take profit? Where do you put your take profit? Very simple. Let's use 317 pips as an example. 317 pips is my STP. The low of the day is this candle over here. 317 pips is over here. 317. Let's get it close. My TP would have been here at 200 pips, right? 13 pip stop loss, a 1 to 14. So on Thursday was a 1 to 14 trade, and on Tuesday it was a 1 to 10. I missed the opportunity. It's all good. It happens. That was the trade. From the bottom of the zone of consolidation, we know price is going to either give us a break to continue or is going to give us the inducement, which it did. Started giving you higher highs and higher lows to go back where? Back to the top of the zone of consolidation. Same thing we had drawn up here is the same thing that's going to happen down here. The only difference, it's either going to be a break to continue or it's going to be a double bottom to go back up to the top side instead of a double top. It's the only difference. Any questions about that? Let me know. It slightly looked a bit different in this scenario. Run through it again one more time. Taking notes. That's not a valid BOS. No. These lows, not a valid break. Because again, the only candle that closed below is this candle over here, which this is a morning star candle, right? Not a strong candle to call a real break, right? So even though again technically yes, because again you wanted to see a red candle close below this wick, right, is not a valid break because of the type of candle, right? The candlestick analysis is very important as well, right? Understanding that this is a morning star candle, the fact that it has a small body and big wicks from the top and the bottom, this is not a valid break. If it would have been a candle like this one, a red candle like this one, then yes. Right, so that's why we understood already that this was the inducement that happened yesterday, and that's why we were getting our charts ready today to start looking for price to continue that push to the top side. Oh, on the 1 minute, let's go back to it. You're right. Stupid ass green candle. I would have still taken it. This would have been perfect. Shit wouldn't have been on my head like that. I'm gonna be honest with you. You're right though. I didn't see the shit on my computer like that. Technically speaking, you didn't get a clean break here until this candle printed. Right? And if you wanted to be fucking really nervous about it, right? Because again, this is just that one thing that was missing on the 1 minute, right? But with everything else that we just had on the higher time frames, like if you really wanted to be scared and fucking wait for the break and retest, then yeah, you got the entry again anyway, right? Even if you wanted to wait for cleaner, right? Let's say you say all of this is on the 1 minute, right? All of this is part of the same trend, right? And then you just decided to wait and get in on the retest, right? The higher high, higher low on the 1 minute time frame, bounce off the 50, right? The only difference is here now, instead of having that 12 pip stop loss, now you have a 64 pip stop loss, right? So again, that goes back to what we were saying the other day and what I always say about US 30 as well. US 30 is a very volatile pair, right? Sometimes you gotta bend the rules with pairs like US 30 and gold and Bitcoin and US oil and GBPJPY. That's why you always hear me say you have to graduate to these pairs. You have to. The first thing you have to know everything, and you have to have all those tools on your tool belt before you come to US 30, because there's going to be slight differences on US 30 where if you're not on your A game, like this is a trade for, again, to me the reason why I'm upset about US 30 is because this is a trade I should have missed. Right? This is a trade that I should have missed. Because again, where else is price gonna go? Where else is price gonna go? Price had nowhere else to go after this inducement. After this inducement, after the fill of the imbalance that it created down here and it gave you the retest of the area, where else is price gonna go? Hasn't given us a clean break of the low. We know price isn't gonna come to fill the gap. We knew price wasn't gonna give us a 372. 2 days of previous drop, counter trend. Again, let me remind you, where else is price gonna go? There's way too many confirmations here, from the daily time frame to the 4-hour time frame to the 30-minute time frame, to the point where as long as you're following structure on the 1 minute time frame, you were good to go. You were good to go. Right, it gave us a 38.2 exactly. So again, regardless of how you see it, the entry was there. Whether you took the aggressive trade or whether you took the conservative trade. But regardless, the trade was given. And we had a 4-hour engulfing at the lows as well. Did we? Yeah, right here. So again, there was just way too many confirmations on US 30 today for me to have missed this trade. So yes, I am upset, but it's okay. It happens. It's part of trading. USD CAD I'm not trading and I'm not going to update. USD ZAR I'm not trading and I'm not updating it for right now either. Gold, we're just stuck in a zone of consolidation. So guess what? Gold also, I'm not trading. Again, very similar to yesterday. Same thing we were just seeing on NZD USD today is the same thing that we were seeing on gold yesterday. Just instead of it being on the 30-minute or the 15-minute time frame, or instead of it being on the 30 or the 15, this was on the 5-minute and 1-minute time frame. Same reason. We're at the top of the zone of consolidation. At the top of the zone of consolidation, we have no breaks, right? We don't know what's going to happen. We have no valid entry. Price could go down and turn back around. The same thing that it did here. Same thing that it did on NZD USD. Right? So again, gold, there's really nothing new to talk about. We're still in the zone of consolidation. We're just moving sideways. We'll be back with gold once we start trending. Bitcoin, I'm also not trading. I haven't updated this in about 3 weeks, probably a month already. But Bitcoin, I'll be back with Bitcoin next week. And then US oil gave us a day of drop. Finally. Gave us higher high, higher low, higher high, change of character, lower low, lower high, and we're looking for a valid break below these lows, which we did technically get. Happened down here. But I do not like this lower high, lower low on the 30-minute time frame. I'm not going to lie to you. I don't like this here. So I'm going to keep this marked as the higher lows here for now. Right? And these higher highs over here. This entire zone. And again, gets my charts ready. Why? Why did I decide this? Because it's simple. Shoulder, head. Could we be looking for a potential shoulder to be made somewhere here? Oh, why are you expecting a shoulder to be made here? Very simple. What do we have down here as well? That almighty 800 EMA, which is going to tell us if price wants to continue the trend, price is going to respect the 800 EMA, give us inducements of these lows, and we'll draw it out once again so you guys could say that I'm the market maker. It's either going to respect the 800 to continue, or this is where price is going to break, retest, to then go to the bottom. This is going to be another pair where you guys are going to say that the market makers are in my ear. Go over NU again. Hey man, how about you just go back, repeat it? What time frame do you want me to go on? Just the entries? Or just the entry? Just a 30-minute? Very simple, Kendall, man. What are you doing? Zone of consolidation. That's all you gotta write on your goddamn note, bro. Where are we? Zone of consolidation. Stay away from the trade. That's it. Right? 1-minute time frame. You had the change of character. You had the break of structure. The break of structure, how the candles were looking, it was just straight green candles. Or I'm sorry, straight red candles. Just clean trend to the bottom. Right? You had price break below the 800 EMA. Trend below the 800 EMA as well. You know that you're expecting price to give you that flag post pattern. This type of movement in candlesticks, you're expecting that flag post pattern. 23.6, 38.2 Fib retracement. To then look for a continuation back down. That was pretty much it. Because again, daily time frame, we don't really have nothing on the daily aside from the fact that we're bouncing off the 50. Right? On the 4-hour time frame, again, didn't really have anything here either. We're sitting at the lows. We're sitting at where price has been giving us the inducements for the last couple weeks. So again, the 4-hour even, even on the 4-hour, just based on the higher time frames alone, right? There's really nothing to talk about the higher time frames gave us the reasons why we really shouldn't take an entry here, right? But again, the 30-minute and lower is different, right? The 30-minute is telling you that you're trading lower low, lower high, lower low, lower high, and you're looking for a continuation from this lower high point to continue down to the lower lows, right? But on the 30-minute time frame, it's also telling you that you're in a zone of consolidation, and at the same time, it's telling you that price is going to give you a continuation because look, we have an engulfing candle, right? So there's a lot of mixed signals on the 30-minute time frame, but a lot of it could be to continue to go short, right? And then again, at the same time, on the 1 minute, once you had the retest of the engulfing gave you the change of character. If you missed that trade and you woke up for NYC, you saw that price gave you the change, it gave you the break below the 800 EMA, started trending below the 800 EMA. Flag post pattern is just straight red candles to the bottom, a clean trend. You know what you're expecting. Um, what would be the difference between 38.2 and a 50, just for clarification, is again just how the candlesticks print, right? If this would have been a structure where price would have given you, like let's say a zone of consolidation, right? Let's say it did something like this where it gave you a zone of consolidation instead, and then it would have given you a break, right? Then you would say, oh, this is most likely a type 3 pattern, right? And if you're expecting a type 3 pattern, you're expecting a 50% retracement, right? To then continue, right? Where instead, if price would have given you another structure, this is a good example because, for us that understands the type 1, type 2, and type 3 patterns, we would say that this clean structure down to the bottom is still a 50% retracement because of that. And this is where the flag post pattern traders would get nervous and confused, thinking that they were just going to get a pullback from here to here to then continue because, oh, it's a flag post pattern. But no, you had everything else, right? If structure would have been a little bit more denser, where we had internal lower lows and lower highs, right? Where we had, what was that word I'm looking for? um, if you had significant pullbacks on the 1 minute, where we would say that this is lower low, lower high, lower low, lower high, lower low, lower high, lower low, lower high, instead of it being the same trends, that's when also I would be expecting, a steeper pullback, right? Which again, we understand that a steeper pullback, 70-80% of the time, always gives you what? It always gives you a change of character on the 1 minute time frame. It gives you that inducement, right, to make people believe that this is where price is going to turn around. But realistically speaking, it was the inducement to continue that push back down to the bottom. And we saw that happen this week and last week, right? How many? I think even on one of the pairs that you were looking at the other week, right, gave you a change of character to the top side, and then it turned around and went short, right? If I'm not mistaken, that happened on one of the pairs that you sent me. That makes sense. If price created a stopping point and the EMAs were aligned, then we could be expecting the 50%, right? Exactly. But that's pretty much it, team. Any other questions? Anything else you guys want me to go over? Anything else you want me to explain? Let me know. If not, that's pretty much it. We went over every pair. As of right now, I'm not really expecting too much out of the charts anymore. Going into, right, tomorrow's already Friday, so Fridays usually for me, I'm not really trading them, so there's a 99% chance I might not even trade tomorrow morning, right? And we'll be back again on Sunday for the weekly market breakdown, and we'll be back again on Monday because price was trending, which is why we should have expected that 38.2. Right, exactly. Anything else, team? Any other specific pairs before I go out? Before we're done for the night? That's why repeating yourself isn't bad. People grasp things differently based on how you word it. Oh, I know. Trust me, man. Trust me. I already went through this shit with E, bro. I know exactly how it is. That's why I always say it. I don't care if I have to repeat myself. I'll do it. Not, I don't like it, but I'll do it. That's why I always say too, like if you need me to repeat it again and say it in a different way, I'll do it. I don't mind. Thanks, old man. All right. Appreciate you, monkey emoji. How long am I gonna take this shit from him? I could really just ban him from the chat. Dead ass. Calling me an old man and a monkey? Like, what type of shit, man? And think about it. I do it for free too. So like, not only do I do this shit for free, but then I also get called a monkey by the chat. Oh man, you guys really don't fuck with me. I'm just being used. And then when E comes back, everybody just flocks to him. He's back, he's back. Let me hop on E's dick. Like, yo, chill out, bro. Fucking, you guys are ungrateful, man. You guys are fucking ungrateful, man. It's all good, yo. It's all good. You know, I said it once and I'll say it again. It's like a toxic relationship. You know he's gonna leave you, and you still run to him. It's all good, man. See, Adrian, a real one. Thank you, brother. No problem, Adrian. Great breakdown. I appreciate you, my brother. I think people only flock to you because of the quantity of trades that he takes. Man, fuck you. No, that's crazy work. I don't have a reasoning as to why, to be honest. Like that could be a valid reason, right? That definitely could be a valid reason. You know, that's another thing. People are used to seeing people take trades very often, every single day. And he is old too. So there's that. And he's really unk. Like, he's really, really unk. But I guess so am I now. But not really. It don't count till they're like 9 or 10 years old, right? So I still got time. Exactly. When I'm 35, now technically, shit, I am unk. Fuck. Now, that don't count. That don't count. I was too young. Adrian says, "Who's E?" That's what I like to hear. Should put that in the fucking chat. I'm not gonna lie, in the Discord chat. Like, who's E? Kill his ego. Alright, team. We'll be back. I'll let you guys know in the Discord tomorrow morning if I'll turn the stream on. If I do turn it on, it'll probably be early, but I don't know. Depends. We'll see how the charts look in the morning, and then we'll come back. And then if not, again, we'll just get our charts ready on Sunday for the weekly market breakdown, and then we'll be back again on Monday. Any questions, let me know. This weekend, I'll most likely be available for one-on-ones as well. I already spoke to Adrian Saturday, or spoke to Albert. Saturday or Sunday, I'll let you guys know at what time I'll be available. But yeah, again, outside of that, any questions, let me know. Peace, brother. I appreciate you, man, for real. Hey, Kendall. All I know is that I better get a pic with the shirt and you rubbing on the Wall Street Bulls balls, man. Gotta bring some good luck to my life. Better see that picture. I need the picture. I'ma print it. I'ma frame it. We going tomorrow? Alright, cool. Alright, man. Happy holidays. Stay safe out there in that cold ass weather. Make sure that you go indoors before the sun goes down. You know, stay aware of your surroundings, yada yada yada. Don't go in the subway unless you want people to dance on you and stuff. What else? The rats. You know, watch out for the rats. Uh, Figuratively and literally, watch out for those damn rats. Uh, you know, people selling you Gucci bags on the street, they're fake. Don't get caught. What else? The cops, shit, I gotta tell you that, cause watch out, especially yo with your brother, that motherfucker crazy. Watch out for the cops. Don't do no weird stuff. Don't have your brother walking around. What else? What else? What else? What else? What else? Gotta go to the deli. This shit like GTA version of Chicago. Alright, man. Have a great time out there. Yo, no, actually though, I'm gonna send you a spot you gotta go to. Hold on. I'm gonna text it to you right now. Vamos para Singapur. Vamos para Singapur. New York. Then I go to Apple Maps. Then I go to 35th Street, which is by the Empire State Building, if I'm not mistaken. Oh, I found it. I'm so good with directions and where I'm going. How do I share this? Yo, how do I share? Oh, I found it. You gotta go here. And I think there's two places, so just put it on your maps and see which one's closer to you. Almost slept. We spoke about E. Nah, we didn't speak about E. I'm gonna grab me a chopped cheese. We outside. You gotta go to that spot and go get a milkshake over there. 10 out of 10, I will say. I'm gonna check it out. Alright, cool. Alright, team. See y'all tomorrow. Peace out.